What's going on, guys? Alex here with 814 EDC, and today I'm ready to do my full review of the Manganas Caimano. Now this is in via Brian over at BEEDC. Huge shout out to him for letting me check out his baby. He's a big fan of this knife, and he was very gracious enough to send it my way, and I am very excited to have gotten to check it out. It was a really cool knife. It was something that I had always seen floating around on Instagram and in the group chats and stuff like that. But it was never something that I personally felt a strong pull for myself to buy. But whenever he brought it up, it was actually, if you guys caught the unboxing video, it was actually on my giveaway video. I told the people to say what their favorite purchase of 2024 was and what they're looking forward to in 2025. And in Brian's comment, he said how, excited he was to have gotten this in 2024. It's one of his favorite knives. We got to chatting, and he, offered it up to be reviewed on my channel. So lo and behold, here is my full review on it. And it's a beast, guys. It is I think I posted it on either a short or my Instagram. This thing is a big, beautiful beast. It really is. It's a big knife. It's bigger than my tendencies. I'm definitely not a big knife guy, but every once in a while I can really appreciate the awesomeness that are available in big knives that I don't typically get to check out. So this thing is awesome. It really is. And they are currently still available. You can get this one as well as the natural micarta one. I'm going to leave a link to him down below. His website, Manganas Steel. Sharif is a designer, and this was his first OEM project, and now he also has the Auroreus, I think. It is a sold out pre-order, but he has that upcoming as well, and he has some stuff with, I know he has stuff with Kubi and a few other OEM manufacturers, but this is his first venture into doing it on his own, and I think it's a win. This thing is fantastic. It's really good. I would love to see maybe like a mini version of this, something closer to a 3-inch blade. I think that would be very interesting, and I honestly would be tempted to pick one of those up, just because smaller knives are more my jam. But without further ado, we're going to jump into the review, and yeah. So like I said, I will leave a link to the website down below if you guys are interested in going and checking these out. I'm surprised they're still in stock, both the micarta and the fat carbon versions are, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, so we have a titanium bolsters up here. You guys can see has a nice large hole for deployment with a flipper tab with beautiful purple haze fat carbon here inlays, which is a top 2 or 3 fat carbon for me. I love it. So it looks really good. You get a very aggressive looking backspacer, but it looks really nice. You get a milled titanium pot clip that is reversible, which is also real nice to have on there. It's a bolster lock, which I love as well. Very interesting and wild looking blade shape. This thing is a harpoon tonto. So you get a nice hollow grind down here with a reinforced tip. But then you have this harpoon and swedge building up top there, which is really rad. This is number 200, and the blade steel is S35VN. And there is Sharif's maker's mark. Just a very kind of menacing looking blade. It really is. It's very wild. And I think that's a very cool selling point of the knife. I believe Kaiser was the OEM on these, and they knocked it out of the park. The bolster lock, you get a nice amount of scalloping and a little bit of milling there. As far as internal milling is concerned, there are no pockets lined out on the inside, but you do have some of the titanium shaved away there for the fat carbon inlays. The inlays are really nice where the transitions go. Can't really, tell that there is a transition there, which is great. So yeah, materials are awesome. Titanium bolsters, fat carbon inlays, S35VN on a very wild looking blade. Flipper action hole. We're going to go 5 out of 5. Some quick specs before we move on. So on his website, he said that this is the new take on a classic American Tonto, which is very cool. Aggressive yet refined, angular yet elegant. Can't talk today, guys. I apologize. Just, yeah, very beautiful blade, which is really good. So a blade length of 3.7 inches, a blade thickness of 0.135. You get a handle thickness or a handle thickness of 0.553, and then an overall length from tip to butt of 8.63. So definitely a big knife. 3.7-inch blade, about a little over 8.5 inches overall. This is definitely, I mean, for I'm trying to think of some stuff. Like I just picked up a couple weeks ago, the mini growler from Devo. I mean, here is the mini growler. I can still get a 4-finger grip on this knife, but look how, I mean, the knife is so much smaller, and this is more my jam. So just goes to show that this is such a big knife, and I'm enjoying it, which is a shock. Not thinking I wasn't going to enjoy it, but you guys know, it's just, you have your tendencies, you have your things you like, but every once in a while you get something in that surprises you, and you're just like, man, I enjoy this. Where are we? Yeah, we just went over the specs. Okay, so aesthetic. I have to give this a 5. I really do. Like I said, I never really paid too much attention to it. I always thought it was like a good-looking knife. It was just never something. So you guys know that you can think things are good, but you're just not like attracted to it for your personal collection. And that's where I was with this. I always thought it looked rad. It looked interesting. It looked really good. Just never something that I would pull a trigger on personally. But now that I have it in hand and I have experienced it for a couple weeks, I mean, this thing is a 5. It really is. Like, the purple haze fat carbon looks awesome. I really like the sort of dark wash on the bolsters right here. The blade is just in a world of itself. I mean, slender, but menacing, just all around, very, very, just crazy looking. It flows nicely together. Just an easy 5. It really is an easy 5 when it comes to aesthetic. We'll leave it at that and move on to action. Now, with the D10, it's a pretty stout D10. Brian even told me when he was messaging me about it, he said that it is, definitely tuned more for the flipper tab. So you have the hole being a little bit stiff on your fingers, which I definitely prefer a stiffer D10. So I wasn't, that news to me was exciting. You get a nice sort of pyramid shaped flipper tab with jimping there on the front. Grabs your finger, push button down. Very, very snappy. You can, of course, do the light switch method like that, or like my preferred method, just do there with the push button, land right on it, build pressure, pops right out. Now, I will say when I got this knife in, the first night, that I was fidgeting with it, my finger was sore from the flicks, because it is a stiff D10. But you get used to it. So I definitely prefer the middle finger flick. Flies right out. The thumb flick, I am never a huge fan of thumb flicking with like bigger holes that like my finger can kind of go down in. It works, fine. I've just learned to, right here on the top corner of the hole, I just put my thumb right up in there and it pops right out. With the middle finger, I kind of just like shove my fingernail into it and I utilize that. But it's very, very fun to fidget with, very, very snappy to go back and forth between the flipper tab and the hole. And then, of course, you can slow roll it, but why would you want to do that with a knife like this? And you guys can see, no blade play. No blade play. I mean, if you really torque on it pretty good, you're going to get a little bit, but locked up very, very tight. Bolster lock works phenomenal. Drops to my thumbnail. You guys can see the flipper tab is hitting it. Move my thumb out of the way. And all I got to do is just move my finger, and it's gonna go home every single time. The help, obviously the 3.7-inch blade, big beefy, crazy looking blade is definitely helping that and aiding that in the action department. But I mean, just buttery smooth. I don't know if Brian put skiffs in here or if these are stock bearings. I'm not 100% sure. But regardless, the action is butter, and that is going to get a 5 out of 5 as well. Very, very good, very fun to fidget with, very consistent, and I really like it. So next up is acoustics. Stiff detent got me. We're going to go, it's good. I would have really liked to have seen some internal milling. I think that really would have helped with the, I just spit that out. Reverberation of sound. But I mean, it's what I would expect from, a big knife like this. It's thundering. It's thwacky. So we're gonna go 4. I think that's fair. I know I'm pretty picky with my acoustics, but it's still good regardless. It's what I expected it to be. Nothing really more. So we'll go 4 out of 5, and we'll leave it at that. But next up is ergos. Now I think I say this on pretty much every large knife that I review. But when you have large knives, every single one of them is comfortable in hand. You get a nice little ramp up here with some jimping. As far as the handle and the ergos are concerned, you get a kind of a swelling here. So it's skinny, fat, gets back down to skinny. You do get kind of a landing choil that you can use, but my fingers are honestly a little bit too big, so I'd be very careful with that. So this is a grip you're pretty much going to stay in. I can easily get all 4 fingers of the knife. Of course, very, very comfortable. My thumb lands right here on the jimping. If I want it to. If I want to stretch out, I can land right in that poon area, which is really good for, power through cuts, which this hollow ground blade just eats up. Then, of course, if you have to do piercing, you get a nice reinforced tip there at the edge. Like I said, this is S35EN, which is very, very adequate. The backspacer provides a little bit of grip as well. If you have it tucked into your hand the right way, it kind of keeps it from falling out a little bit. But this is just a very comfortable knife. It's big, it's very comfortable. Yeah, I mean, there's not really much to say. There's a slight bit of contouring. I wouldn't say that there's a ton, but there's a little bit, and all of the edges are chamfered. There's no sharp edges or anything on the knife, which is very, very nice. But yeah, just a lot of real estate to land on. I can be very, kind of lackadaisical and choked back a little bit, or I can get nice and crammed up here if I'm reaching up there for the poon. Very, very comfortable as well. But like I said, big knives really have, it's an automatic, as long as the design is relatively simple from a handle perspective. If you have a big knife, it's going to be comfortable. And I have no reason to, complain about this one. So we're going to go 5 out of 5 on the ergos. And that takes us to carry. Now this does have a milled clip. You have about that much knife sticking out of your pocket. That is, the milled clip looks good and it feels good from an ergo standpoint. It's not a hotspot issue. But this is a big knife. Is there a weight on here? So no, I did not have a weight listed on the website. But I would have to imagine this is probably 4.5, 5 ounces. So it is a little bit heavier. It's on the heavier side of things when it comes to, carry. And I wish that there was, a little bit more, tucked into the pocket. It's a common occurrence for me when it comes to knives that have like an angled, edge of the handle back here. When you have a clip that, I'm not saying that Sharif should have designed it to be up in there. I don't know. It's just one of those things that it doesn't really necessarily bother me as much as it used to. I would just definitely prefer to have a little bit more sat down in the pocket. So that combined with this, being a heavier knife, and I'm just not used to those heavier, knives being in there. I'm going to go 4.5. I don't, it's not a true perfect carry for me. So I'm just being honest with those, 2 small nitpicks, but we're going to go 4.5. Other than that, it carries pretty well for a big knife. I mean, it sits in the pocket pretty nicely. You do have a flipper tab down here with some jimping. So you do have to be careful if you're going down beside it for change. chapstick, AirPods, things like that might be floating underneath it. Just be aware of it. You don't want to pull it up out of there with your hand. But all things considered, pretty pretty good carry for being a bigger, heavier knife. I'm just gonna go 4.5. I think that's kind of a good landing area for my thoughts. And that leads us to my last category of price point / value / what I recommend this knife. So we have the Caimano coming in at $275 for the Purple Haze Fat Carbon version. The natural micarta version is at $250, so you get a little bit of a discount there. I think both those prices are fair. We are getting S35VN, which is my only pause. I would have loved to seen maybe a little bit higher end of a steel, but honestly, S35VN is very adequate for something in this price range. It's not an exciting steel. I get that. I think that myself. But at the end of the day, it's a steel that gets the job done. It's a good steel. It's been around for so long. And Kaiser used it quite a bit on their stuff. So I trust them, to have a good HRC with it. And again, kind of the theme of a lot of knives that I check out, they're coming from boutique brands, and boutique brands tend to be maybe a little bit more expensive because, like I said, they have to make their money. They have to take money and roll it in for their OEM stuff down the road to keep rolling. But honestly, $250, $275, I don't have an issue with that. I could see someone charging, especially for the size of the knife, for the craziness of the blade. You get fat carbon. Kaiser does really, really good work. This is honestly, I'm so used to checking out Kaiser's own stuff that they sell. This might be, no, because I think NASCO with like the Landers and stuff uses Kaiser. But there's not too many OEM, knives out there that I've checked out that are made by Kaiser, which is crazy. But the fit and finish is awesome. You're always going to get really good stuff with Kaiser. And I will say this, if you're a fan of big knives and you like how this knife looks, then I can absolutely recommend it. It's fantastic. Maybe someday Sharif will make a mini version of this. And I think I would have to pick one of these up just because it's good. It really is. I enjoyed it. It's big, it's beautiful, it's elegant, but like you can utilize it as a workhorse. It can take a beating. It's all the things that you want in a big, elegant knife, I guess. And that's kind of where I land here with the Caimano. So yeah, I can recommend it to a lot of people. I think it's great. I definitely enjoyed getting to hang out with it, getting to, just put it through its paces a little bit. I did carry it a few times. I didn't really cut too much with it, but I don't do a whole lot of cutting as it is besides, your mail, your packages, your cardboard, things like that. So yeah, I do think it's a pretty decent value. I could easily see someone charging $300 plus for this knife. So it's a good recommendation. So I'm going to go 5. Let's see here what we got on the score. Okay, so I have the Manganas Knives Caimano coming in at a 33.5, which lands it in the fantastic category. Very on brand with, the review. I think that's where it is deservedly. I can't talk today, guys. I apologize. It's just one of those mornings so far where this deservingly sits. I'm a fan of it. I think you guys are a fan of it too, and I'm really curious why there are not more out there. I'm curious why they haven't sold out. So again, it'll be linked down below in the description if you guys are interested. Please go over and check it out. Yeah, this is gonna be one of those knives that I'm like, man, I kind of miss it a little bit, which is again surprising to say because I tend to go for the smaller knives in my own personal collection, but the Caimano is really, really good. So but I'm going to wrap this up now. So that was my full review of the Manganas Knives Caimano. Huge shout out to Brian over at BEEDC. I will also leave a link to his channel down below. Please go check him out. But Brian, if you're still watching this, thank you, buddy. I really did appreciate you, allowing me to check out one of your favorite knives in the collection. So I'm happy to be sending it back to you probably today or tomorrow. So you get that back to hang out with it yourself. But I'm going to wrap this up now. So thank you guys again so much for watching. I greatly appreciate each and every single one of you guys. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your morning, evening, day, night, whenever you're watching this. And I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace. Peace.